is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What's up, Jason? Account access expires soon? What? Oh, no. What did it do? There we go. Yeah, so again, we're talking about D&C today and why it shows that Joseph Smith is not a prophet because of the changes in Revelation, because of the false prophecies within the Revelation. I think those are one of many reasons that we cannot trust that Joseph Smith is a true prophet, because his own revelations have been edited. They have false prophecies within them, so on and so forth. So that is what we're arguing today. And that is what we're going to be chatting about. Dang, nice new background. Hey, thanks. So I had a second computer. I got my new one over here from a few months ago. And I had my old one just sitting over here, right? And I was like, I put it inside my thingy down here. So my computer's in there. Put my monitor I was trying to sell, but no one would buy it. Out there, and had ChatGPT hook me up a cool updated logo there for the background. Glad you like it. I think it's kind of sweet too. What's up, Rocket? What is poppin', my G? Yo, Jordan, I just had some missionaries coming to my house, man, and they unfortunately were not here very long. They chatted with them for a little bit, and they decided they did not want to have the conversation. It was cordial, but they said basically if I wasn't interested in converting to being a Latter-day Saint, they weren't interested in chatting. So I said, fair enough. Chatted for a few more minutes, and they left. So what can you do, man? Be praying for them. 2 Latter-day Saints, and then an older gentleman came. He's very kind people. Just didn't want to chat, which happens, and it's unfortunate. But Lord willing, a seed was planted. We shall see. That's kind of what happened to me. Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It is very, very, very unfortunate. Hey, I tried to dampen the background noise. Like I tried to change some stuff on my mic here. Can y'all still hear like my computer blowing in the background? Do you wear makeup on here? No, but if you're talking about my lips, I just put on some chappy stick. It is it may as well be makeup. It's strawberry lemonade, dog. My wife buys this Mango Kiss. I'm sorry, strawberry lavender. Not lemonade. Yeah, it may as well be makeup, but dude, it smells fire. Makes your lips super like smooth, dog. Super smooth. I can hear it, but it's not as bad as last time. Cool. I chanked it all the way up. Your cheeks look rosy, dude. It's hot in my office. I'm a big boy, and it is warm in here. Let me tell you. My wife keeps it cranked up with the heat, dog. So, bear with me. This guy is he's a mature. Hey, I appreciate that. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you saying that I'm mature. Glad he got blasted. That's awful, dude. Yeah, we ain't gonna have none of that in here. Have a good day, my friend. Catch that block. Catch that block. Call it Minecraft because homie caught that block. Pow. Hey, Mallory. Guys, if y'all don't mind, please tap that like button. Just keep tapping your screen. That way we can get pushed into the algorithm. Get some Latter-day Saint friends up here to chat about the D&C. We're talking about why the D&C proves Joseph Smith is not a prophet. That is our topic for today. And we are going to have some fun with it. Yeah, D&C is the Doctrine and Covenants. So my friend Rocket, who's actually still in here, sent me this bad boy right now. Send me that bad boy right there. This is the quad. It has all the stuff in there. Doctrine and Covenants, all that good stuff in there. So D&C is just one of the scriptures for the LDS church. And I actually got to use it. I brought it out. And it was actually funny. So there were 2 missionaries that were just here, and an older guy, just like a regular saint or whatever. And I had the quad sitting on the table, my kitchen table, and he was like, "Hey, can I ask you about those scriptures? Where'd you get that from?" or something. And I said, "I had a buddy send this to me." And I was like, I think his daughters got after it too, because see all the pink highlight stuff on there. But it's super cool, man. It's a good conversation starter. It's kind of sick. Really cool. At your house, yeah. Had some Latter-day Saint missionaries over here. At my house. They were just here. Super nice guys. Super nice, obviously. But we're not interested. So, but I'll be honest. They knew coming to my house because the missionaries in my area, they like, I guess when they rotate, they have they share the same phone. So they, like, I guess when we talked on the phone, they knew that I'd chatted with Latter-day Saints before, and they could obviously see the messages. So they knew coming here that I was going to be talking to them, and I wasn't there for that, right? To like become a Latter-day Saint. I'm not an investigator. So they came here and decided to, I guess, do like the bait and switch thing, even though they knew. So I don't know. They always leave 40 minutes top stay. Yeah, it wasn't even that long. They got here like 8:05. They probably left around like 8:30, if that. I mean, the older guy didn't even take his jacket off, and it was kind of funny. It's kind of obvious. So they walked in, and I said, "Hey, do y'all want some water, like sparkling, flat, whatever?" And they're like, "Oh, I'll take some flat water." And I walk into my office and like turn these lights off and stuff, whatever. And I come back in there, and I was like asking again, like I couldn't remember like what they wanted, and they were like, "Oh no, we're actually okay." So I was like, I probably when I turned my back, the older guy was like we're not going to be here that long. So that's kind of what flat water. It's just non-sparkling, like regular purified water. He's purposely skipping over my comments. That's funny. You're not interested in Jesus Christ? I am. I'm a Christian. Yeah. So, is the LDS Church the only false church in your mind? No, it's not. You got the Jehovah's Witnesses. I also have their... Sorry, I just smacked the mic. Got the Jehovah's Witness Bible right here. Yeah, so talk about a abomination in the sight of God right there. This is one of the many right here. I want to get my hands on a physical Joseph Smith translation of the Bible. One day I will own one. I have one on Kindle, but I want to get a physical one. That'd be sick. What's in the D&C? It's the Doctrine and Covenants. It's a Doctrine and Covenants. So that's one section of LDS Scripture. Sometimes they telegraph it pretty clearly. God will use it one way or another. Yeah, I think so, dude. I think it'll get used. We got to actually bring up that one. That one point for like 2.5 seconds, and then he shut it down after he got a little bit invested in the conversation, and so yeah. I don't know. It's okay. Again, God will use it. Thank God I'm not an Arminian, because if I would have been struggling, like, man, I didn't get to preach the gospel to them. They're gonna, no, because it's God's sovereign grace that draws, right? So. You need to get the History of the Church volume 7 set, or 7 volume set, dude. Oh, that'd be sick. JST is $20 online. Yo, let's go, dude. It's also where I got this bad boy. Not the topic today, right? But this bad boy right here. This thing is sick, man. This was the Family Home Evening Manual that taught that God the Father had coitus with Mary. This is another hidden gem. I took a gamble on this actually on eBay. It said 1970s or something. Like this is from 1972, but it said like 1970, and I was like, I'm gonna buy it anyway, see what happens. And it was the right one. Praise God. So praise God. Pretty neat. A lot of cool stuff on eBay. Can I join up the Chosen Jewish Apologetics? So we're only talking to believing Latter-day Saints. So if you're not a believing Latter-day Saint, sorry, we can't bring you up right now. So what's the true church then? Christianity. This is true church. There is no one true denomination, if that's what you mean. Have you ever brought up the Sermon on the Grove? I haven't read the Sermon on the Grove yet. I keep getting told, read the Sermon on the Grove, read the Sermon on the Grove. I even heard Aaron Shafawala, he was talking to Jacob Hansen, and he he brought up the Sermon in the Grove, and I was like, I need to read it. Yeah, read it, all caps. Yeah. Oh, read it on straight. Is it long? Is it wrong? Is it long? Let's do it. Let's just see, man. It ain't got to be a crazy stream today. Sermon in the Grove, Joseph Smith. MRM. Hey guys, listen. Quick plug, not for my stuff, but for another ministry, Mormonism Research Ministry. Google it, follow it. They have a YouTube channel. They have all kinds of wonderful resources for witnessing to Latter-day Saints. Definitely go follow them. Mormonism Research Ministry. Do that. Is this the entire thing on here, or is this the? Hold on. Printed in the History of the Church, Volume 6. Oh, yeah, you're right. I need to get my hands on the volume History of the Church, for sure. Joseph Smith was a true prophet. Amber, I would totally disagree with you, but you're more than welcome to come up and chat about it if you have time to do that. You're more than welcome. This is not a space for debate. We're not trying to just argue till we're blue in the face. We're just looking to chat, have honest dialogue about the LDS Church. So, yeah. What's in the Doctrine and Covenants that proves he's not a prophet? So, for example, you have edited Revelations. You have Revelations published in the original Book of Commandments, right? So, like 1833, the Book of Commandments was published, and then 2 years later, in 1835, it had the pretty close to the same stuff. Some stuff was taken out, some edited, but you have Revelations originally published that were added to, changed to fit the current status quo of Joseph Smith and others. Total changes of Revelations, which is, it proves he's not a prophet. So, and that's at least what I would argue. So, yeah. So, I can send you a digital copy of the 7-volume for free, brother. Yes, please. Why aren't other Christians making a proclamation of the family to the world? Why not? You would have to define what you mean by that. I mean, we are telling people to start families and that the family is good. So, I mean, if that's what you mean, I know you guys have like a proclamation, like the family. Heard rumors it might be canonized in the near future. So, define, organize your work. Kat, you need to just define what you mean. It's not an invitation. What? I'm very confused with what you're trying to say. I'm very confused. I'm sorry with what you're trying to put out there. Anyway, the Sermon on the Grove. Jordan, where should I go for this? Like, I haven't read it yet. I've always declared God to be a distinct personage, Jesus Christ a distinct personage, from God the Father and the Holy Spirit a distinct personage and a spirit. These three constitute 3 distinct personages and 3 gods. If this is in accordance with the New Testament, lo and behold, we have 3 gods anyhow, and they are plural. And who can contradict it? Scripture. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one Yahweh. 3 persons called Yahweh, but they're not each other. Therefore. Let me see. For Paul says, God was the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. My object was to preach scriptures. John was one of the men. The apostle declared them made king. Paul says there are gods many and lords many. I want to set it forth in a plain and simple manner. But to us, there is but one God that is pertaining to us. Oh, look at there. So a big, massive distinction. Gods many and lords many, but there's only one God for us. I've heard Latter-day Saints say that quite a bit. There's only one God for us. Mankind, gods many, lords many, but only one we are subject to, hath the eternal worlds. And is he, wait, hold on. No man can limit the bounds or the eternal existence of eternal time. Hath he beheld the eternal world? Is he authorized to say that there is only one God? Oh boy, he makes himself a fool if he thinks or says so. There is an end of his career or progress in knowledge. He cannot obtain all knowledge, for he has sealed up the gate to it. Some say I don't interpret Scripture the same as they do. So I'm not going to give them knowledge. Then correct. First words. Okay. Boy. Yeah, this thing is long. Boy, howdy. Show me the good stuff. In the very beginning, the Bible shows there is a plurality of gods beyond the power of refutation. Oh boy. The word Elohim ought to be plural. The heads of the gods, so multiple heads. The heads of the gods appointed one God for us. And when you take it, that view of the subject, it sets one free to see all the beauty and holiness and perfection of the gods. Wow. Many men say that there is one God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost are only one God. I say that is a strange God anyhow. 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. Boy, he sounds like a Muslim. That's crazy. I say there is a strange God anyhow. 3 in 1, 1 in 3. I can... 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. Or 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 1? Yo, I can't. That's so funny. All are to be crammed into one God according to sectarianism. Oh, that's crazy. It would make the biggest God in all the world. He would be a wonderfully big God. He would be a giant or a monster. Goodness gracious. Oh, goodness. Okay, so tell me where the Father had a father had a father. Come on. Oh, here we go. If Abraham reasoned thus, if Jesus Christ was the Son of God, John discovered that God the Father of Jesus Christ. Oh, wow. Listen to this. If Abraham reasoned thus, if Jesus Christ was the Son of God, and John discovered that God the Father of Jesus Christ had a father, you may suppose that he had a father also. Where was there ever a son without a father? And where was there ever a father without first being a son? Whenever did a tree or anything spring into existence without a progenitor? Yo, he's saying it. He's saying it. God the Father had a God. 1 plus 1 plus 1 can't be 1. Have y'all seen that video from David Wood where he kept going back to 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1? He said it like 45 times in a row. It was super funny. Can't remember what video it was. But anyway, so that's part of the Sermon in the Grove. I need to just throw it in my like PDF reader and just listen to it one day. But haven't done it yet. It is lengthy, faux show. But anyway, guys, the whole point of this is that we're talking about how the D&C proves that Joseph Smith is not a prophet. And what do I mean by that? Well, the D&C, so it was originally canonized as the Book of Commandments, which had a bunch of stuff in there already. Then they made the Doctrine and Covenants 2 years later, a whole different book in 1835, and it had edited revelations, taken big chunks of the portions of Scripture out, all kinds of stuff. And so if you're a Latter-day Saint, that's what we're chatting about. That is why we would say that the D&C disproves. So it has false prophecies within it. It has Joseph Smith's edited revelations within it, changed at a whim in order to fit his current narrative. So that's all we're chatting about. And if you have friends that are Latter-day Saints, please invite them to the live. Share the live with them. Like the live so that we can get pushed out into the algorithm. But if you were just joining in, we were reading the Sermon in the Grove part of it, not the whole thing. But where Joseph Smith said that God the Father had a God the Father. It's kind of crazy. Which is very heavily denied nowadays by Latter-day Saints. And you can even see that, well, it's not denied that it was taught. It's denied that it's true, I guess. Even Jacob Hansen was saying in that video the other day about when he was talking to Aaron Shafawala, he was like, well, Joseph could have been wrong, or he was wrong, or whatever he said. So it's pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. What's up, Christopher? But yeah, would love to hear from y'all. Are you guys Latter-day Saints? Are you guys Christians? Ex-Mormons? jumping around, spreading the love. Appreciate you, Christopher. Appreciate you, man. You're Christian? Nice, man. What kind of church do you go to, Christopher? I personally go to a Baptist church, go to a Reformed Baptist church. I'm a Christian in a heavily populated Mormon area. Go off, Luke. You know, when the Latter-day Saints that were just here, they were chatting about like where they were from at first and stuff like that. And they were like, both of them were from Utah, and the older guy was from Idaho. And I almost wanted to say, oh, you're from the motherland, but I didn't know if they would think that was funny or not. So I did not say that. I said, you're like from the middle of it. Like, sorry. We have, I don't know who this person is. Never seen them before. Fleddy 14. Look at your profile, dog. Hold on, Fleddy. Fleddy, are you a Latter-day Saint? Cincinnati. Wow. Where's Cincinnati at? That's in Cincinnati. Oh goodness. My geography. Geography? Yeah. No, I just had a question. It's not letting me accept your invite for some reason. Are you bananaed for some reason? Are you bananaed for some reason, Fleddy? No? You guys see this, right? Can't accept requests when live is paused? When my live is paused, is my screen paused? Cannot accept when it's paused. Okay. Hey, guys, I'm going to restart the stream. I'll be right back. I'm going to pop right back in on the TikTok side. I'm going to start it and restart it real quick. It's weird that it's saying that, so I'll be right back. BRB. Restart it back up. Oops. Start her back up. No pause here. Yeah, it's over here on TikTok. Myths. Can't call you by your real name, man. It's unfortunate. All right, let's try this again. Reset it. On there. Boom, we're back. Yeah, no, it's the pause was over here on TikTok. It was saying that my live was paused when I was trying to accept his invite. So, because you can do that, like you can go out of the app usually if you're supposed to do it on your phone. What's up, Cruz? Yeah, so you can pause it over here, which is weird. It was saying that, so super weird. But we do only have like 45 minutes, so we'll be up here till about 10 p.m. That was my cutoff per my wife. So we are back and ready to rumble, baby. So again, we were talking about the doctrines and covenants and why they prove that Joseph Smith is not a prophet. If you're a Latter-day Saint or you have a friend who is a Latter-day Saint that would like to chat about this topic, you're more than welcome to share the live with them and help out by tapping the screen. That way we can get pressed out into the algorithm. We can talk to some more Latter-day Saints. How you been doing, Cruz? It's been a minute since we chatted, I think. Been a hot minute. But also, guys, do be praying for those. I know I talked about it a minute ago, but do be praying for those guys that came over just a little bit ago. Won't give their names, but the Lord knows, right? Since He's actually all-knowing. Praise God. What's up, Cruz?
What up, dog?
Dude, it's been a minute.
Yeah, bro, just been grinding, dude, just working.
so it's
Grinding,
been
working,
a
huh?
lot. Yeah,
What do you do
but
for
it's
work?
almost. I own a pest control company out in
Oh,
California.
sick. Nice, man. That's
Yeah,
popular. You and Colt Miller both own pest control companies. That's crazy.
yeah. I mean, we knocked on doors, talked about Jesus for 2 years. So selling bug juice
Sales.
is it's a lot easier, bro.
It's money, dude. If you can deal
Yeah.
with that kind of rejection for that long, dude, sales is right up your alley. That's because the guy that was just here, he was in sales too. I can't remember what he said he did sales for like concrete or something or steel beams or something. Yeah, but I totally understand, man. Going on mission for 2 years, that'll teach you how to take rejection, and that's good for sales.
Here, bro.
Crazy.
But yeah, bro. Tell me about this DNC thing that you got posted. I mean, what are you talking about, dog?
Yeah, so the DNCs, so since they've been edited and since they have false prophecies within them, that's why I would say that Joseph Smith is not a genuine prophet, because he has to edit his own revelations, add things in there that were not previously there, though it doesn't make notice of that in the actual revelations themselves. Specifically, like DNC like 7, where it talks about the whole thing of DNC 7 says that it's a revelation from papyri, or what does it say, from what's the word it uses? I'll pull it up right here. Hold on. From parchment, it's what it is. From parchment, and he saw it through the seer stone, and he translated it from that, right? So you had, and that was published originally in the 1833 edition of the Book of Commandments. But when you get to the 1835 or the current Doctrines and Covenants, it has a lot of stuff added, a whole lot of stuff. So the question is, why, if this was a translation from a parchment, right? Why is he adding words to it? If it was just a direct translation, why have to add 20 plus words to it in a new edition? That's just one of the problems.
I mean, probably just add more context and more clarity. Probably, right?
Well, but it's the point is that it's a translation of a text, right? If I went to the Greek, if I got my Bible, right, and started translating it from the Greek, and I just started adding words to it, that's not the words. That's not what's in the text, right? So he got this.
Kind of like what the scribes did with the Gospels.
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there is. There's actually a lot of changes and things that happen, especially when you compare like older scribes or older transcripts to the newer ones. There's actually a lot of stuff.
I mean,
Garmin
yeah,
talks
no.
about it a lot.
You're right. You mean like the woman caught in adultery, stuff like that. Yeah. No, it's true. But,
yeah, I mean, Johan and
we
comment too, but I'm just talking about
that
like
1
just
John
in general.
5:7?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of There's a lot of examples of that throughout the scriptures.
But you would say that those are illegitimate, right? Like if scribes are adding things to the scriptures, which we would actually say that those weren't originally in the text, and we don't actually take them out, but we bracket them in our scriptures and say that these are not in the oldest manuscripts.
The problem is like we don't have the original manuscripts. Like
For what?
Very, very for most of the scriptures that we have, we don't have the original manuscripts.
Well, you wouldn't say that undercuts its
Like,
authority, though.
We're not even talking about authority. I'm just saying, like, even if we wanted to, we wouldn't actually know for sure what is like super original to the original manuscript versus what isn't.
Okay.
Because
So
we just
like,
don't have a full clear picture of the original manuscripts.
so like when Joseph Smith,
All we have, let me add one more thing. So all we have though are just examples, even of later contexts of scribes adding. Like it's just reality. It's just what they did and what they do.
okay,
So we safely assume that they probably did that with the originals, but we just wouldn't know for sure. All we have is just more current evidences of it.
okay, so why did Joseph add so many things to that revelation if it's just a document that he was reading and translating? Like 2 years later, actually 6 years later, he got it in 1829. But
Well, I don't know what exactly you're talking about, but if assuming from the
DNC 7.
pretense, from the pretense of him being a prophet, I don't know what you're saying he added, but assuming that he was a prophet, he would have the authority to do something like that.
to add to a text, if he's just using the seer stone to add
Add or
to it.
clarify. Yeah, of course.
Okay, so could he have deleted things from the Book of Mormon,
Uh,
or like added extra things to the Book of Mormon? If it's not, is it not just a translation of ancient documents?
well, did Joseph Smith know an, the English or Egyptian Hebrew that the Book of Mormon said it was translated in?
No, it
He
was
didn't know that
translated by the
language,
gift and
right?
power of God.
Right. So it's not a real translation of one language to another.
Sure,
So
well,
he's
but it
translating
is.
through revelation.
According to your church, it is an actual translation. He just isn't translating it. It's God translating it for him and telling him what it says. Right. So it's the same thing with this parchment that I'm talking about with DNC7. And if you want for just context, I can just tell you it's a really short. It's like I don't even know how many verses. It's super super short. I'm not going to read it,
Yeah.
but I'll read you the header. That way you can understand where I'm coming from.
What's the I mean, what was added?
Yeah, so I can actually send it to you. I have a side-by-side thing that was created. I didn't create it, obviously, but side-by-side thing that shows the original Book of Commandments versus the Doctrine and Covenants that was printed 2 years later, or published 2 years later. And that shows the direct changes and everything that was added to it.
But I'm saying, like, what was added or changed? That's what I'm like.
Yeah, I mean, I can read it to you. I got
Was
you.
it like a drastic context change? I'm just
Well,
trying to figure out.
it was like 20 plus words, but that's not really the point. The point is that if he's taking this, he's translating it from a parchment. He obviously doesn't have the parchment, but the thing is when it's about, you know, how they how Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery were trying to see if John the Baptist or if John the disciple or the apostle ever died or not. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this came from that revelation because they were seeking God to see if he, you know, if this was true. And DNC 7 is John is supposed to be. Let me just pull it up. It's supposed to be a piece of parchment that John wrote on that he's looking at and translating through the seer stone. He's obviously doesn't have it, but he can see it and he's translating it. And it says. Revelation given to Joseph Smith the prophet and Oliver Cowdery in Harmony, Pennsylvania, April 29th, when they inquired through the Urim and Thummim to see whether John the beloved disciple tarried in the flesh or had died. The revelation, so DNC 7, the revelation is a translated version of the record made on parchment by John and hidden up by himself. So John had a parchment, they translated it. That's what DNC 7 is. So my question is if it's a direct and again, if you just read DNC 7 like in your modern Doctrine and Covenants, it's not going to show a distinction between what was added and what wasn't. So I would already say just outright it's kind of deceptive to say that this is what they translated in 1829 because 6 years later, 20 plus words in here weren't even in the original Revelation. So he didn't even get this stuff in 1829. You see what I'm saying?
So you're saying, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like what was changed? You're saying 20 words were added to Revelation.
I got it right here. I can read it to you.
So what's the original? And then, or I mean, if anything, you can just tell me what was added, just the words that were added.
Yeah, I can read them to you.
Context is actually changed.
Again, it's not about context. What was changed is about adding to what was supposed to be just a translated script from John the Baptist, or not John the Baptist, John the Revelator. Hold on, pull it back up for you. So that's chapter 4. Section 5. There we go, section 7. So originally it was chapter 6, and that doesn't really matter. So the brunt of it that they added was from verse 5. It says, so in the original transcript, in the Book of Commandments, let's say verse 5, for example, it's easier if you're looking at it with me, but it says, I say unto thee, Peter, this was a good desire, but my beloved has undertaken a greater work. Okay, and again, he's talking about, it's supposed to be John writing in first person, doing stuff. Okay. In the current edition, it adds But my beloved has desired that he might do more or a greater work yet among men, that he might what he has done before, what he has before done. Yea, he has, and then this part was already here, undertaken a greater work. New edition. Therefore, I will make him a flaming fire and a ministering angel. He shall minister for those who have seen, who shall be heirs of salvation, who dwell on the earth. And I will make thee to minister for him and thy brother James, and unto you three I will give this power and the keys of the ministry until I come. So this is just one of many chunks that were added, or many words that were added. But that's kind of my point. He's reading in 1829 through the seer stone, getting this revelation, right? Translating from a parchment. Publishes it in 1833, just like the original. Now you have all this stuff added. If this stuff was originally on that document, and again, if you read it in your modern book, in your D&C, it's not going to tell you that there were additions. It's just you're going to read it and think this is what he translated from the documents. So my question is, why were those things not there in the original Book of Commandments, but only added years later?
It sounds like it was more so of like clarification and also like power given, more clarification on the powers that were given to John. That's all it was.
Okay, but
so again, the idea is that a prophet would have the authority to do something like that. That's because what you're saying is you're presupposing that any type of revelation, any type of translation that were to happen at the beginning is the original and what was meant to be said and written, whatever it was. But
well, that's the claim.
I would disagree. That would be the claim. Yeah, that would be the claim that you're making. And I would say
the claim no, I'm sorry. That's the claim that the D&C is making. If you just read
not
it,
the claim that the D&C is
hold on,
making. Because
hold on, just real quick. Sorry, Cruz. It literally says the revelation is a translated version of a record on parchment by John. So it's a record that John has that he wrote. 1833, it said this. In 1835, in the new edition, it says something. I mean, sure, it's not changing context or nothing. Sure, it's just talking about John. But why wasn't that put in the original one? Because again, if you read it today, it doesn't make the clarification that there were additions made. You read it, and it says that this was given in 1829, and that they translated it just exactly the same.
The problem, I think the problem that you're maybe having is that that is not even that is literally for example, when Joseph Smith would receive revelation, it would go through. It wasn't like whatever he received, it was just written down. It's not how it ever was. It was received, and then he would revise. He would go back and revise it, right, and then give more clarity, and then it would become published.
Do you see the problem with that, though?
The reason why I don't have a problem with it is because I come from the position that I don't presuppose that prophets also are working through faith and grow to understand things over time. I also feel like that is supported with how all prophets worked. Literally, I can't any biblical historian that I've listened to, right? And you may not disagree that they're not necessarily evangelical or super faith-based type of scholarship, but I recognize, and they have evidences of prophets iterating and changing things when they felt like they could. Okay. And if I believe that these prophets were called by prophets or called by God, then that's just the reality of what a prophet can do, how the prophet functions. Okay. So I don't have a problem with Joseph Smith iterating a revelation that he received to give more clarity or to give more understanding to the context.
Okay, well here, Cruz. If you're reading this, and just be totally honest with me, don't try to nuance it at all. You're
never lying, by the way, but go ahead.
Sure, no, of course. If you're reading D&C 7 and it says that what you're reading is a translated, it says that it's a revelation that is a translated version of a record that John the Apostle had. You're going to read it and you're going to say, what I'm reading is a revelation from God, okay? And it was what John the Baptist wrote on this parchment. It's either what he wrote on the parchment or it's what he didn't write on the parchment. And if you were to read this, you would never get the gist that anything was added. So it's either he had this in there originally or he didn't. So my question to you, Cruz, what these words that I just read you, were they originally in the document that Joseph read and translated from, or were they not? Did he add these words? And now that DNC is being deceptive, I would say, I would argue that it's being deceptive because this wasn't in the original, or is it something different?
Well, what I do know is that because first of all, the question would come down to like how much of this revelation was actually done by the parchment, for one, because the inspiration behind receiving this revelation has to do with, I'm pretty sure, like an ambiguous thing that they came across in the New Testament about John, which caused them to go pray and to try and receive revelation.
Sure.
From what I understand.
Yeah.
So I think, I don't know, in my mind, like what was truly revealed in what was actually the true revelation versus what Joseph Smith does to add more clarity and context. The reason why it's irrelevant to me is because I believe that prophets would have that authority anyways. So like, for example,
can I say something just real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would totally get if it was clarity and context and he revealed that. But if you read the document, there is no such thing. There is nothing that says this is clarity, that this was added for clarity or this wasn't. You read it and it says that this is translated from this parchment. It says that. You are never going to think that there was clarification added. It's either these words were in the document or they were not in the document. And that's what I'm saying.
Well, let me ask you this. So because the summaries that happen that are on the top or not, those are added, like those are way more modern, like which that's like 30 years. So let me ask you this: like if you're on the ecclesiastical board of the church and you were in charge of writing that little summary at the top of the section, how would you have written it that in a way that you feel would be more genuine, I guess you could say? How would you have preferred to see that summary be written?
In my personal opinion, I would have had them add clarification that some of this was not in the original parchment but was given later by revelation for clarification. Because if you read this, you're not going to see that, or I'm sorry, you're going to see that all of this came from that parchment, all of it. And I get that you're saying that's a later edition. Sure, that's perfectly fine. Actually, it was in the, sorry, that's not true, because in the Book of Commandments, it has the exact same thing. Let me read it. A revelation given to Joseph Smith and Oliver Cowdery in Harmony, Pennsylvania, April 1829, when they desired to know whether the John the Beloved tarried. Actually, they added to the original part, which I understand that this is not revelation, but the current DNC adds to what it said originally, because this just says, it literally says that they did look up to see if John tarried on the earth, and it just says translated from parchment, written and hid up by himself. So it literally says translated from parchment.
Right.
So
so I think maybe, well, there's one discussion about like how the section's being presented, which I don't necessarily mind, but I know that because there were a few changes that happened not too long ago also with the Doctrine and Covenants, because the reality is, there's ongoing discoveries of historical understanding and timelines and all that kind of stuff. So the church history department's ongoing with this type of stuff, and so the church announces it. And if you look at the most previous announcement, they gave basically details to the changes that happened and why they changed and all that kind of stuff. But that's one discussion of the summary. The other discussion is if a prophet has the authority to translate something like that and then also add his own flavor to it. And I would argue, yes. And I would argue that's more than likely what the Gospels represent too.
Okay, so you would say that the prophet has the authority to add to revelation that claims to be directly from a parchment and not tell you that part of it's not from a is not from the parchment. So he says,
Well,
I took this, I copied this down, I translated it, but I'm not going to tell you that this part, it was not actually there. I just added that part.
well, I wouldn't. Well, I don't know. I don't know if it even okay. First, even within this situation, I would be surprised that if even that would have even been the case, that even Joseph Smith would have said, "It's like, oh
What
no,
do you
I
mean?
forgot to." Well, because the change happened what 4 or 5 years later,
It was
right?
2 years later. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 years
Sorry,
later,
sorry. This revelation was given in 1829. It
right?
was published in 1833.
Right, but they they
new
kept
DNC
it,
came out 35.
right, and then they changed it. Yeah, so again,
Yeah.
like that would be that. I would be surprised if Joseph was like, "Oh no, I forgot. This was part of the revelation." I think the intention there, and I think it's also evidence. Also, this point I'm going to make is like evidence in other examples of how revelations were iterated or how sections were changed. That would just be like because Joseph Smith did that all over the place. So I would feel like this would just fall onto other one of those examples. So if we have a problem with, again, a problem with prophets or divine authority, people who have the divine authority to do something like that, then we can talk about that. But I would feel like we would run into some serious problems if we look at, you know, what the gospel authors were. Like, who knows what that is? Let's just assume that they were.
Well, here, Cruz. Sorry, just real quick. If I translated the Iliad, right? Like is it by Homer, right? If and it's in Greek or Latin or whatever the language it was back then. I think it was Greek. Anyway, I translated in there and I translated to English and I add an entire paragraph. And I told you, I said, Cruz, all of this came from the Greek. And I didn't tell you that a fat chunk of that I added myself. Am I lying to you?
But that's not even what happens.
That is
Because
what happened.
no, because Joseph Smith doesn't know the ancient language, so he's not translating.
Okay,
He's
listen.
receiving it through
Don't get
revelation.
Cruz. I understand that.
It's you're
That's not the
comparing
point.
apples and oranges because
No,
you're
no,
saying
no,
like
it's
I
not.
translated from the Greek. Okay, well, do you know Greek?
No, I do not know Greek.
I'm
Unfortunately.
saying like in the Iliad example, do you or do you know Greek?
Yeah,
Are you know Greek?
I'm translating it from Greek to English or whatever the original language is. Yes.
So it's a language translation.
But don't get hung up.
And you tell me
that's not the point. And I think you
Well,
see that, and I think you're getting hung up on that.
No, I know, but when I know it's not the point. I know you think you don't. I know you think that's irrelevant, but that's actually relevant because
It's really
Joseph
not.
Smith is receiving revelation. It can't be a revelation of receiving from one language to another. So it has to be through revelation.
I would actually
right?
say that it actually kind of makes it worse that he isn't translating it and adding stuff to it via like normal translation, because if it's coming from the gift and power of God, he's looking in the seer stone, he sees this parchment that John wrote. God, again, just same as the Book of Mormon, gift and power of God, right? He gets this revelation off the parchment and gives it to us today. Except 5 or 6 years down the road, it's totally different. Or not totally, he adds a bunch of stuff to it. So again,
Well,
God's telling him, hey, hold on, Chris.
That's
Hold on.
ambiguous to say too, though. By the way, you can't just say he's adding a bunch of stuff. Like he actually did it.
He
But
added a
let's
bunch
just
of
go on,
stuff to
go
it.
on.
He added a whole bunch of
Bro.
stuff to it.
He added 20 words, and it was like the flaming flyer, giving more
Sure.
clarification to the power that
Were
was.
the well
that was
here,
given
Cruz?
him.
Were those in the original document?
No, they were not.
Okay. So why? So would you say that it's deceptive when you read the heading that says this was translated from the parchment that John the Baptist? Or
Joseph Smith has nothing to do with the part with the header.
He actually
So
did.
it's
Hold on. He actually did, because in the original Book of Commandments it says the exact same thing. Literally. It says translated from parchment. So if you're going to say that he didn't have anything to do with it, he had everything to do with the D&C, right? He wouldn't have let this like summary header be at the top that totally misconstrued everything that he said in that specific revelation. He was a prophet, seer, and revelator. He would have known and would have had all kinds of oversight. So are you saying that he had no oversight over this part in the original Book of Commandments that said that this was translated from parchment?
Wait, do you have the link to that actually?
I have it right here. I can send it to you.
Just message me.
That's fine. I can let me save the copy of the link.
I didn't know that the original Book of Commandments had headers on it.
Yeah. I'll send it over to you right now on TikTok. Actually, no, I can't. Well, actually, yes, I can. Let me swap over to my account. 1 second. But anyway, so yeah, that's kind of the whole point for all of this is it seems extremely.
Because I'm seeing that the original Book of Commandments, the first attempt to publish Revelations printed in Missouri in 1833, did not include modern style section headings or summaries that you see today in the Doctrine and Covenants sections. They did not have it.
Well, as far as I can see, this right here has it. So, and it's not even the same as what I'm reading in the current D&C. So it's even different. I can actually pull up an original.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, I've heard this not specifically with the D&C 7 or Section 7, but
Probably D&C
I
5.
have heard it like in general, like variety of times, even with what was it called? I don't remember what it was, but yeah, I mean, I've heard it all the time, even from like non-member, like non-LDS like scholars, but. The interesting thing is, it's like what Joseph Smith did. It's not so far out of left field in comparison to what other people who claim themselves as prophets did.
Mm-hmm.
Would you agree with that?
I'm sorry. Could you say that one more time?
Like Joseph Smith. Either clarifying or changing or like reinterpreting as quote unquote a prophet, like that is not uncommon for a person who calls themselves a prophet to do.
To like, are you saying to like edit or I guess what do you?
Yeah, to edit or to rewrite or to re-clarify like past teachings or past understandings or even past writings.
Okay.
Like I feel like that's pretty common. That's just the nature of what a prophet can do. Obviously,
but a
assuming
prophet's not going to lie, right? But a prophet's not going to lie about the revelation that he received, right? Like
the claim that he lied. You would have to
it cut out. What'd you say? The proof of what?
Yeah, the claim that he lied, you would have to substantiate that with, oh, this was the original. Joseph Smith saying this was the original, and then him going back and saying, oh no, this is what it actually said.
Well, that's shown from the original Book of Commandments. Is what
no,
was
that
original.
Well, Joseph Smith has done that before, and there's multiple revelations that were like written out, and then he'd go back and change them and rewrite them or re-clarify a section. He does it all the time. He wouldn't say like, oh no, the second time around I got it right. He wouldn't say something.
So
like that.
okay, well, so it's probably a totally different claim and a totally different argument to say like something totally unique to Joseph Smith. Like say that I receive a revelation right now and it's from the Lord to me. I write it down for you, and then I go back and I clarify my own revelation. That's one thing, and I say that that's a totally different argument than I'm given a parchment via revelation, and God allows me to translate that parchment, and I tell you what that parchment said. So it's somebody else wrote it. I'm telling you what that somebody else said. Here's what it says. Those are two totally different kinds of revelations, and I would say one, sure, we can have a whole discussion about him changing his own revelations. It's another thing to say, someone wrote this down, I'm changing what they said.
Or possibly just adding more details that he didn't otherwise do originally. Because I would agree that
he doesn't
he's
clarify
not.
that, Cruz. He doesn't clarify that at all. He says this is what was in the parchment. It's what it says.
We don't. No. I get that's what the summary says, but we don't actually know what Joseph Smith said.
So are you saying that your church is like wrong about this?
No, it would be the church just identifying and understanding what Joseph Smith commonly did.
So you're saying that there's a possibility that your church put a bad summary on the top of this?
No. What I'm trying to say is like, no, it's the church saying that. Wait, I just lost my train of thought. I think it had to do with something like Joseph Smith saying that like he's adding more detail, and the church not substantiating that or like identifying that or clearly explaining that.
Sure, exactly. So that I would say that's a massive problem, and it comes off as extremely deceptive. If that's the case, that they should have added, but there's clarification here. Right. It's either, I mean, because if you just read it just right off the bat, this is what I got and this is what Joseph Smith got in 1829 from a parchment written by John the Revelator, but half of it's not actually in there. He added it, and I'm saying half as a, just whatever as an example. But
the thing is, like, I just feel like if you were to open like literally any type of, whether it's like commentary, like history, like things from theologians, like you do not have to dig very far to know that revelations or even clarifications in the Book of Mormon were done like after the fact. After revelations were received, they went through a like summarization or like iteration process before they were actually published. And even after things were published, things were also edited as well. Like you don't have to dig very far for somebody to point that out. Like it's just not. I think it's unfair of you to say that like it's deceptive because it's not. It's like it's commonplace. Like I've known that forever.
So I actually pulled up. This is on what is this on? It's on SydneyRigdon.com, and this is a original Book of Commandments from, let's say, compiled in the 1830s. Is that what it says? Yeah, organized according to law on the 6th of April, 1830. The Book of Commandments. So, and it probably wasn't published until 1833 or whatever, but this is one of the originals in PDF form. In chapter 6, which is in the Book of Commandments, chapter 7. Hey, what is that? What is that? Thanks for whoever sent that. I don't even know what that was, but thank you. Thank you so much. Originally, it was chapter 6. It says that it has a heading. If you can see, I'm not sure if you can't even really see it, but it does have a heading. A revelation given to Oliver is a 6. That's 4. I can't read. Am I tripping? Hold on. Next one. Oh, yes. A revelation given to Oliver. Actually, just says Oliver. Why say Oliver and Joseph? Hold on. Revelation given to Oliver and Harmony. Revelation given to Joseph the prophet and Oliver Cowdery. So which one's right? Anyway, Book of Commandments says Oliver Cowdery. Revelation given to Oliver and Harmony in April 1829 when they desired. So that's super weird. I think they meant both because it says Oliver, but it says plural they. When they desired to know whether John the beloved disciple tarried on the earth, translated from parchment written and hid up by himself about John the Baptist or John the apostle. So there are these headers, and it does say that it was translated directly from that parchment. So I would say that it doesn't change at all. And again, if you go and look at the modern day, it doesn't give that distinction as this was added later on, this was not. So both say the same thing. What is
Yeah,
that?
because I'm literally on the Joseph Smith, like the
Papers?
josephsmithpapers.org.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm seeing Oliver Cowdery's shorthand. Like he's literally writing it. He's literally writing. He wrote it all down. And so again, like I just think that the way it would, and I understand why you have a problem with it, but it just comes down to like what would be what's more authoritative, or is it Paul's writings or Paul's letters, or is it Paul? Like, is Paul able to go back and change a revelation or a teaching that he had, or is he not? Like, once it's written, it's it, and now he's subject to whatever it was that he originally wrote.
Yeah. So like if Paul wrote Galatians, right?
Assuming he did, right?
He did. Your church would agree. Since he wrote Galatians, and he sent it, but then he went back and got it like 5 years later, and then started changing a bunch of stuff out, and then gave it back to him.
He didn't change a bunch of stuff out. We're talking about adding clarifying context.
It's not about but again, it's the point of he gave them a letter, and then gave it to him again and added more stuff to it, but didn't make the distinction that I added stuff to it. First off, he didn't do that because he wrote Galatians and then he sent it to the church in Galatia. So there was no way for him to go back and re-edit it. There's none of that. It was a letter to the church in Galatia. So that it doesn't even follow. But this is outright deceptive. And again, this is why I'm saying I would say it's bad fruit on the church's part, but it's also bad fruit on Joseph's part because he allowed this to happen, especially in 1835 when he added to the revelations that he said were from a parchment. So again, I would just and again, it's not even just this one. I mean, it happened all over the place throughout this, and I sent you the link so you can actually look at it on your own. But even D&C 5 is the same thing, and it's actually kind of worse because it is his own revelation. But it goes from saying that he should pretend to have no other gifts to saying you shall have no other gifts until a certain point.
Bro,
and it just totally changes it.
I'm looking at the side by side, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, okay. And the Lord said unto me, John, my beloved, what desirest thou? Right? That's the original.
Sure.
And the Lord said unto me, John, my beloved, what desirest thou? For if you shall ask what you will, it shall be granted unto you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what was added. Okay?
Just keep
and I said, Lord, give unto me power that I may bring souls unto thee. Sure. And then it says in the other one, and I said unto him, so instead of, and I said, Lord, in the new one it says, and I said unto him, Lord, give unto me power that I may bring souls unto thee. And then in the new one it says, Lord, give unto me power over death that I may live and bring souls unto thee.
Sure. So skip down to verse 3 at the very bottom where it says, and shalt prophesy before nations. Okay. You see that?
And yeah, and the Lord said unto me, verily, verily, I say unto thee, because thou desirest this, thou shalt tarry till I come in my glory. And then he says the same thing, and shalt prophesy before nations, kindreds, tongues, and people.
And pause. Was that last part that's emboldened? Was that in the original document?
I mean, no, obviously it's not. We know it's not the original.
Okay, so if the original is on the left, and that's what Joseph originally translated from the parchment, this is here and was not in the parchment. You can't just add stuff to documents and say that it's original, especially without clarification, which is what he oversaw and what he allowed in the 1835 edition of the Doctrine and Covenants. And David Whitmer saw this.
I think it's the example of what does it mean by thou shalt tarry? Like what is it's like giving clarification. What is John supposed to be doing while he's here, if he's gonna live and he's here.
Sure, but again, Cruz, that's not the point. It's was it written in the original document or was it not written?
But we already agreed, bro, that like we already agreed that it's not in the original.
Okay, so if it's not in the original, why does the church and Joseph Smith here proclaim it as if it was in the original? That's deception.
Where is it proclaiming that's in the original? You talk about the summary.
When it says even in the 1830 edition, translated from parchment, it was either on the parchment or it wasn't on the parchment, my man. I mean, it's one or the other. He's literally lying to people if he says that it's almost it's no, that's a bad example. But it's lying to people to say I translated this here from the parchment, and I translated this here from the parchment, but it has words that were not in the original translation of the parchment. It doesn't say that he got to see the parchment again and take more stuff out of it. Nothing. He says, I translated it. Here's what it says. 2 years later, here's what it says with different stuff. And he doesn't clarify. So it's a lie. It's a bald-faced lie, and he oversaw it.
I should probably send I should send you this link actually. But it goes into like just broader details of where these additions might have like come from, like what have been what would have brought on the inspiration to add like more details. But in any case, I think at the most fundamental level, I think it just kind of comes down to like what a prophet's capable of doing and what you believe a prophet is allowed to do.
He's not allowed
And also
to lie.
as well, how you view how a prophet can is supposed to function in accordance to what you would expect God or what their relationship to be. Like,
Yeah.
so you would have a problem with Paul, for example, maybe writing one thing in a letter and then maybe re-clarifying or adding an additional detail to the original revelation or the letter?
Well,
Would you have a problem with something like that?
He can't do that because he sent the letter.
No, but like,
let's
say, hypothetically, let's say he said what he said about women. Like, let's say he were to go back. Can he go back and say, actually scratch that?
Be silent.
Don't listen to what I meant there. Can I do, like, listen to this? Is a prophet capable of doing something like that?
Is he capable of changing his revelation? No, because it's revelation from God, right? It's the same thing with like the like in Ephesians chapter 3 when Paul says a revelation was made known to me that was a mystery to previous generations and hidden in God in those previous generations, right? It was either revealed to him and the apostles, which is what he said in Ephesians chapter 3. It has not been revealed in other generations as it has now been revealed to his holy apostles and prophets, right? So it was either not revealed as it is now to him and the apostles, or it was revealed, which, again, this ties into the Book of Mormon. Book of Mormon has that mystery that Paul talks about in Ephesians 3 that he says no one knew about and had full knowledge of, but it speaks about it with clarity. So this is my point. Either Paul is correct and says no one fully understood this mystery that I and the apostles know now, or they did. It's one or the other. And if he goes back and edits that, then he's being deceptive. Because if Paul says no one knew it, but then he goes back and says, well, they actually did know it, then somebody's lying. So no, prophets can't go change revelations. Isaiah can't go back and change Isaiah 6 when he's standing before the throne of Yahweh in heaven. And he says, woe is me, I'm a man of unclean lips and I live amongst people of unclean lips. Like, he can't go back and change that. He either said that in the presence of God or he didn't.
I think another problem that we have too is like we can't actually know for sure. All we have are, like, I'm talking about like biblical examples of prophets, because all we have are this different examples of, like the books of Jeremiah, for example, right? Like we have two different translations, and one is like almost 20% bigger than the other. It's like, who do we know? How do we know what was in the original, what was actually clarified later, what was edited? Like, who knows what's actually supposed to be there in the quote unquote original?
Well, and of course we don't have the original, so that's what makes it hard. But that's why we do textual criticism, and we can find those things out, and that's exactly how we know things like the Johannine comma, or whatever you called it, 1 John 5:7, and the woman caught in adultery and all that stuff. We can know that those things are not in the or we can at least know with some kind of certainty that those were not in the original documents because they're not in our earliest documents, and we can know that, and we can know that because of the manuscript history, and that's how we can come to those.
Okay, and then how do you reconcile like the differences in the Gospels? Like it's the same, they're same teachings, but there's different wording, different ordering, different details that were given.
Well, different people wrote them, so that's part of it. I mean, yeah, Paul's not gonna, or Mark's not gonna talk the same way as Matthew or Luke, for example.
Do you think that they were
but there's
all
no
four there just
contradictory.
writing this? What do you think, they were all four there writing at the same time? Or?
No, I mean, I think Luke went and did his thing. Mark, I think, and this is getting way off the topic, but I think Mark.
Well, I'm just saying,
Peter's
like
stuff.
the reason why, for me, this is a little bit important, is because what I see, or how I view Scripture, is that prophets prophets over time iterated what was previously received or previously given, like that the Scriptures provide us that evidence. Now, if I were to accept that prophets were able to do that, why would it be hard for me then to believe that a prophet can iterate their own words if they're able to iterate and change other things that happened before him?
This isn't Joseph's words, though. These aren't Joseph's words. They're somebody else's words.
Joseph's revelations. This is Joseph's revelation that he received.
D&C
right?
is not Joseph's revelation. It's John's that was given and translated through Joseph and Oliver Cowdery.
The revelation was given to Joseph Smith. Joseph Smith was the one translated. That's all I mean.
Okay, so it was.
So all I'm saying is, like, why would it be a problem for Joseph Smith to do that for himself when past prophets in the Scriptures were doing that on other prophets?
Nobody is adding extra revelation to the Scriptures. Like prophets are not adding words. Like for example, Moses isn't saying, "Here are the 10 Commandments," and then he turns around and writes in one book, "These are the 10 Commandments," and then in the edited version of that book, "Here are the 10 Commandments with something totally different in them, or something added to them." You see what I'm saying? Like, he's not going to say, "God told me these are the 10 Commandments," and then turn around and give you something new when you already know the 10 Commandments, and say, "Well, here are actual 10 Commandments, but there's one in between each." You see what I'm saying? Like you can't, you're not going to do that. Either God said this, and again, this parchment that we're talking about in D&C 7, it was translated by the gift and power of God. God allowed Joseph to see the parchment, used the gift and power of God to translate the parchment, and then he gave it to us in English, according to him, right?
So why wasn't the Mosaic law?
Well, hold on, Chris. Hold on. Did God change his mind regarding that parchment and what was on the parchment?
It's not God changing his mind. It's literally, what the frick? What it would literally be, would be like adding something later, adding something on top. Nothing was taken away. More was added after. It's not changing his mind.
It was added after. It was God. It was God showing Joseph what was on the parchment, and he told everybody else. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you have a problem with with the Mosaic law, that laws were added later, more and more added over time? Do you have a problem with that?
As far as what? What do you mean?
From like the original, when the original Mosaic law was given. Yeah, let me see.
And actually, let's make this the end. I told my wife I'd be off at 10, so I need to be off here pretty quick.
Bro,
So
I'm literally outside my house too. I'm freaking waiting to come in.
it's right here. You know what? Just send me that stuff over text message or whatever in our chat, and then when I go live tomorrow night, you can come back up here. We can finish this conversation if you want, because I'll probably do the same thing.
Yeah, G, I'll send this over to you right now.
All right, man.
All right, bro. It's good talking to you, man.
All right, bye. God bless. God bless. Hey, guys, I got to get off. Again, good conversation. Love Cruz every time, man. Super good guy to talk to. Super refreshing. So, guys, if y'all have enjoyed, please please follow the live so you guys can be watching, because I should be live, not tomorrow night. I shouldn't have said tomorrow night. It's Friday. I have a community group. Saturday. Should be back, and love to see y'all here again. So please follow if you're on YouTube, subscribe. See y'all back Saturday night. God bless, guys.